Hi, welcome to the Anime Social Club. We hope you enjoy your stay.
That was pretty fun.
Your friend will catch cold sleeping like that.
I'm home, everyone!
Just a humble bounty hunter, man.
Recording. Yo, okay, hold up. Yo, what is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Anime Social Club podcast for the first time, because we always get it right on the first try. You know how we do around here. Like, everything goes perfectly fine. No technological difficulties. We're smooth sailing, okay? No, I'm kidding. This is like my third time starting the podcast. And oh my God, it just had to be the 1 week where it's me soloing for the first time. So if you guys are new to the podcast, normally I do have two co-hosts with me, Kuro and Etyo. They're usually on with me discussing anime stuff, but they are not able to make it out this week. So it's just going to be yours truly today on the podcast. And as always, if you are listening to the audio version of this podcast, go and check us out on YouTube. Just search Anime Social Club. Links in the description for everything that we talk about will be below, as long as links to social and all that other good stuff. And if you guys ever wanted to catch the podcast live, we go every Thursday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Totally nailed that. Just did not screw it up whatsoever. So, anyways, so a lot of you may be asking yourselves, well, Benji, what do you do when you don't have anybody to riff off of or have with you on the podcast? Like, what the fuck can you say for hopefully 30 minutes? Well, let me tell you. We're going to be going over today my ratings, or not my ratings, but like how I rate things and kind of like the process that I have for 1 through 10. I'm totally not going to like butcher this, hopefully, and not entirely screw it up. So I'm hoping it's like decent, at least. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see see how well it goes. Because trying to fill up any amount of time just by yourself is always a little bit of a struggle, actually, because you're basically just talking by yourself for that whole length of time. But apart from that, we are going to go ahead and jump right in it for this week's topic. So let me go ahead and bring out the window that I totally had prepared this entire time. Oops. Put that over there. Okay, cool. Nope, did not want to do that. But so I actually had already done a YouTube video on this whole rating thing initially, kind of back in the day. And I don't know, it's become a topic that's been coming up more and more as I watch more and more anime, as I talk about it more, because you start to encounter a lot of people that either they rate things differently than you do, or they just have a straight up different opinion. And so you get into this whole cycle of like, well, what does it really mean to rate something? You know what I mean? Like how do you go about that? And usually when it comes to people that I encounter who have like pretty strong opinions about the shows that they watch, I kind of really like to dig deep into like why they decided to rate it a certain way, or how they came to that conclusion. And I get it. A lot of things are, pretty subjective, and there's no real objectivity when it comes to saying what something is or isn't, because I mean, it's really open to your own interpretation in terms of like how you view the content that's being displayed in front of your eyes, which is, pretty obvious considering you apply that to any form of media. However, if you want people to understand you in terms of like how your taste is, or how you feel about a certain show, or just trying to understand why you liked a certain show or why you didn't like a certain show, I feel like it's important to kind of have like a little bit of a standard or an idea of how you rate these things. And how you approach that rating system is it's totally up to you. Like, you want to give it 5 stars, 10 stars, 15 stars. You're going to rate it a 4 out of 20, like a 6 out of 10, like whatever scaling system that you have in your mind that you feel like is the most appropriate for you, like go for it. But I definitely would want, ideally you would want to have reasonings behind, why you put things a certain way, or why you have like certain, I guess, beliefs when it comes to the media that you watch, because it makes it a lot easier to have like conversations about it, especially people who want to dive really deep into like the finer aspects of anime as a whole. So yeah, and then so Akari in the chat says, I don't know, I have 1800 anime and sometimes I have no idea why I rate the things the way I do. And I used to, well, I haven't seen 1800 anime, but when I was initially watching anime, I would just kind of rate things left and right. And now I feel like I have more of a sense as to why I rate things a certain way, and it makes it a lot easier when people look at my ratings and they ask me, oh, well, why did you rate it like this? I go, well, according to, what I view as being a 5 or an 8, I can, give them some context as to how I came to that conclusion in the first place. So it just helps with that overall. Like I said, it's not like a required, like you don't have to rate anime. Like you're not required to do it. I mean, if anyone does, then fuck them, because you can do what you want. But I just find it really fun. It allows me to kind of view how other people's tastes are and kind of gauge. And it's interesting conversation. You know what I mean? Like it's just a cool topic to bring up every now and again. Matt Dunn in the chat says only plebs don't rate. Shake my head. Yeah, you fucking plebs, rate or just don't even watch anime. Like, why you watch anime in the first place? Anyways, so the way I rate, and the way in my video that I rated was that I kind of broke down my ratings into two separate instances, where one is critical and the other one is more emotional. As I've gone on in my anime watching, whatever the fuck you'd call it, the two really start to experience like this intersectionality of like they really blend together as your like what your tastes are and what you prefer, as well as the technical things that you look in for the shows that you love to see. You kind of get an idea for like where you're going to place them on this, arbitrary scale that you have. But so I'm just going to go according to how I had my YouTube video, where I'm going to break down 1 through 10, essentially for like my critical point of view. And then I'm going to do my emotional point of view, which is a very, 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 very simplified version of that. So let's go ahead and start with what it means to be a 1, which let me go ahead and bring that up here real quick. And I actually have examples for every single one of these like numbers that I have placed. And like I said, you don't have to rate in accordance to like how I do it. If you like the way I rate, cool. But it's not something that it's like, oh, you must abide by the way I do it, and if you don't do it the way I do it, then you are just wrong. I'm actually becoming more and more of a fan of the ABC method. I think it's a little bit more forgiving in a way, and a little bit more understandable, because I guess people rate things 1 through 10, but you go through school, A, B, C, D, E, F. You have that little bit more of understanding. So cool. And I'm sorry to anyone that I offend with these ratings. It's just, how I feel about the show. And it's just an opinion, so don't hate me. And if you do have issues here, then I am free to talk about it whenever you want, because I will defend every single rating that I have. I will say though, I do need to redo my ratings as they are now. I need to switch them up a little bit, because a lot of my tastes have changed over time. But yeah, I'll get into it in a second. When it after this, of like why that happens. So and yes, chat, I do see you. It's just really hard to go back and forth between all this stuff without having the other two here, but I'm trying my best. Okay. So for rating something a 1, the way that I define it, and excuse the grammar here, it's literally unwatchable. There is no cohesion between anything or at any point in the show. It literally hurts to watch. Now, you may ask yourself, well, what kind of show is that? What would they make that literally induces this type of feeling? Well, let me fucking tell you, okay? There is a show out there, okay? There is a show called Pupa. Now, for those of you that don't know what Pupa is, Pupa was meant to be like this next crazy psychological thriller horror anime, at least from what I heard about, right? It's gonna be like, oh, you're gonna like cringe, and it's gonna be like all this like craziness. Literally, like this is like, if I were to say like the closest thing to an animated picture book, it would be Pupa. Like there's nothing. There's literally nothing there. And the fact is that, yes, I agree with Akari in the chat. Read the manga. Like the manga looked fantastic. Like there was so many things that looked amazing, like in the manga. And I was like, oh my God, this is going to be an incredible thing to adapt. And yet they give us like, I prefer the Berserk adaptation, the bastardization, the unwarranted, like atrocity that we got for that, as opposed to whatever this was from Pupa. And my God, if anything, it's worth just to watch the first 5 seconds, because there is pretty much nothing there. I don't really know how else to explain it, but I actually was kind of worried I wouldn't have something for a 1, since I feel like I would never see it, but this was kind of by accident. And, you know, again, I saw it as a one-off seasonal during the time it actually came out. So, but so that is, yeah, that is a 1 on the list. So let's go ahead and let's move it on to the next one. So I try to differentiate these as much as I can. I mean, it more so makes these makes more sense like in my head when it comes to these ratings, but I'm gonna try my best to explain it. So a 2, numero dos, right? A 2 on my scale rating of 1 through 10 is that it still hurts, right? So I'm still hurting, but it's so boring and it makes it a chore to watch. So it's like I'm having to like, let's watch this fucking show again. You know, I guess I'm gonna finish it. I feel like this is how I would be if I was one of those types of people that don't drop anything. Which, yo, respect to the no droppers, because I just be dropping shit left and right. I ain't got time for all that. But if you do and you power through it, more power to you, because I mean, we need people like you to like tell us how things finish out, because there is no way in hell I would sit through some of the bullshit that I've seen with my eyes, and it hurt to do so. Anyways, so a 2 on my list, which I'm gonna kind of be a hypocrite at this point, is Ulysses Jean d'Arc and The Alchemist Knight. So I actually finished this show, and it was, I won't lie, it was a chore to finish. The only thing that really kept me coming back was the ending, because it was just so convoluted. Like, they were pulling plot points literally out of their ass just to make the story have like some reason for you to come back next week. But apart from that, like, some of the animation looked like they had the characters in Photoshop and they were just dragging them around the screen. There was literal, just like, I've never seen so many still shots in an anime too. And I was like, what the actual fuck? Like, I can't believe this was endorsed in any way. But yeah, it's just so fucking hard. I mean, if you like really stupid shit and you like things that just don't make any sense, and it kind of I guess it's in a way it's entertaining. But I mean, gotta be kind of like, you know, but man, it's just so hard to really justify me recommending this to anyone. Maybe if you were really drunk and high at the same time. Yeah, but like it just, I don't even want to think about what this could have been if it didn't have those ridiculous, like there's literally like the show goes on the entire time. Wait, fucking spoilers, but I can't spoil a shitty show. Like there is no mention of Cthulhu, and then Cthulhu just appears in episode 10. Like literally out of nowhere, no mention whatsoever, but apparently like there's this like whole dark lord that's been out there the entire fucking time, and they just didn't say anything, and then just pops out of the fucking sky. Like, and it literally shows up at the end of it shows up at the end of the episode, and then the beginning of the next episode. They defeat Cthulhu within the first half of the next episode. So I was like, okay, you're just doing this shit to drag you into the next episode. So I'm like, okay. But I'm kind of a slut for things like that. Oh my God, I'm such a whore. Anyways, and this is all a podcast that I'm doing by myself, and this is why I don't do podcasts with myself. I'm too degrading. Okay, I'm too degrading. Oh my God, it seems like we have some Cthulhu fans in the chat. Cthulhu best boy. I agree. He's a pretty good boy. Anyways. On to the next one, to rate it 3. So when you rate it a 3, in my eyes, is that you see the beginning of an idea, but that's it, just an idea. Thank you, Roy the Boss, for the follow. Appreciate ya. But when it comes to a 3, that's all it is. And not to say that being at a 3 completely absolves you of all the prior sins to it. It's just that either it wasn't that apparent, didn't necessarily explicitly commit those sins, but I mean they could still be there. But essentially, if it manages to pass the 1-2 mark, this is usually what kind of keeps it at a 3 from progressing any further. So in terms of shows that were a 3, was this piece of shit. And I have an extra little, place in my heart where I just hate the fuck out of this show, because it was advertised to me as something that sounded so fucking cool. So being a big fan of EDM in general and DJs in the whole world, I was like, oh my fucking God, like this is going to be an anime about DJing. They're going to use the DJ beats and they're going to go back and forth. They're going to be like these epic DJ battles. They're going to fully stylize it, make it look badass. And, it's going to be a great time. So the idea really hooked me. It was really there. And then I watched it. And not only did I watch it, but I realized that this anime is not only not an original, but it's a sequel to one of the worst anime ever. Oh my God. I was like, why the fuck? This show, like, it's literally Starburst, the animation. Like, the colors are just so, like, obnoxious, and the characters are so bland and dry. It's like you're eating a piece of chicken. It looks like a really good piece of chicken, but it just tastes like blah, but God, I wanted so much more out of it. And yes, chat, I did not know this was the sequel to Handshakers. Okay, there is nothing in the description that mentions that it's a sequel to Handshakers, which leads me to believe that if they had named it a sequel to Handshakers, this show probably would have done even worse than what it already did, which I could totally see that. But yeah, that's a motherfucking 3 for you, And Matt Dunn says, if you want DJ Battle, watch Project K. I've heard of Project K. I've never actually, obviously, seen it. But now you're making me want to see it if there's a DJ battle. I love anything that involves music in, a unique way. I really want a rap anime, which I'm hoping, we get after the amazing production we've seen with Carol and Tuesday. But, we'll see. But I have heard of Project K. Definitely need to check that out. All right. So, a 4. So, a 4 has one of two good things that it seems to grasp, but ultimately fails to flesh anything out. So that would, maybe they grabbed, they like knew how to do characters and story, or they set atmosphere really well, or the animation was top notch, or the music was top notch. You know what I mean? Like the introduction into it in the first couple episodes, you're like, oh, this can be a thing, and then it doesn't do anything with it, and it just completely falls flat on its fucking face. And I can't think of oh man, I'll be surprised if anybody actually watched this. So Comet Lucifer. Now I was hopeful, you know what I mean? I mean, granted, I'm like a huge mech whore, so I will watch anything related to mech, but my God, did this really test my love for mech anime in general. Like I've never seen something devolve so badly, like in my life. Like I knew once they had the what would you call it? It's not even a montage, the musical number with all the brooms and the vegetables flying through the air and singing to each other. I knew at that point, I was like, fuck this show. I was like, this shit has nothing, like, what, like, wow, But yeah, I mean, I could see people like finishing the show, but it's just so fucking hard to watch, man. And it really sucked because there really was something there, there really was something there, but there was like, God, you really could have had it. You could have you fucked it up. You know what I mean? Like, I agree. Akari, 4 is a passing grade. Like, they barely passed, like fucking barely, Ugh. God, it just angers me talking about that show. Anyways, let's move on to the next rating on the list, which if you guys aren't numerically challenged, you will know the next number that comes after 4, which, is one of my favorite numbers, 5. I like the number 5. It's a good number. It's a very, very middle of the road number. Or is it? Due to the law of averages or something like that. I don't know. But anyways, so a 5. Average of the average. A floating series that doesn't stand out at all, but you really can't complain if it's just more of what you like. And I think that's a very important distinction, and it's going to be more apparent with the show that I picked, because when you're watching, so average isn't always bad. Like average, like when it comes to like an average show, if you're a fan of the subgenre or genre or whatever the fuck you want to call it, or if it does the trope that you like, you're more than likely going to like it, and you're more than likely going to finish it. Like, I mean, it's really hard to say like, oh, this show fucking sucks. If, for example, if it's like just yaoi trash, like I know a lot of people, mostly the girls that would watch the entirety of yaoi trash because they are fujoshis and they just love that. And so the quality of it kind of matters to an extent, but as long as it's average, they're more than likely just finish the damn show, right? Same like with me when it comes to mechs. I'll probably watch I almost finished Comet Lucifer. Granted, it wasn't an average show. Didn't hit the 5, or else I probably would have fucking finished it. But there are plenty of 5 mech shows that I've watched and completed, and I did not feel completely dissatisfied. So, in terms of my example for a show that fits this criteria is Owari no Seraph, or Seraph of the End, Vampire Rain. So generic. Like, my God, like it was okay. The entirety of the show is literally carried on the back of Eruna. Which is funny because you would think it's like either the main character dude or, the fucking Sasuke lookalike motherfucker, or not lookalike, but like actor in, like, I don't know, but it's like some of this shit. I mean, okay, I'm kind of a sucker for, like two rivals battle it out, badass powers and shit, and like ascending, doing like, crazy ass shit. And granted, I finished I finished Seraph at the end. I'm just not really looking forward to any more of it. But that doesn't mean I wouldn't finish it though. I mean, overall, it's a fun show. It's really cool. Does nothing innovative. It's pretty much just pandering to its audience, and I can't fault it for that. And I feel like it really does things, or like the generic parts of it, really well. So it's enjoyable in that aspect. But yeah, definitely if you aren't into this type of show, you will not like it at all. like go watch fucking Tokyo Ghoul. I feel like that's a better show. I don't even know if Tokyo Ghoul, I guess. I don't know, but man, it's just yeah, it's cool. It's average. It's average, like I can't. It's average, So there's not really too much to explore for something that's just it's average. And okay, cool. So on to the next one. Let me go ahead and paste it right there. Okay, cool. I think this one I had a couple typos on, but let's go ahead and look at the chat. Your local pimp 99 says, I never watch generic shows, feels like watching an old show again. Definitely feel that as well when some of this stuff that I see for seasonals. Roy the Boss says, Seraph was kind of hyped up for me by my friends and I thought it was kind of trash. Like I said, you could I totally get it. I totally get it. But yeah, and then Akari says, watch Tokyo Ghoul. Why would you do something like that? Just read the manga. Which, yeah, I agree. Read the manga. Fuck it. Or just watch all of it. Watch the first season, part of Square Root, and then don't even bother with Re. Anyways, so let's go ahead and move on to the next number, which is 6. Yeah, 6. 6 is the number that comes after 5, which number 6 can do one or maybe two things better than most, but due to other elements that don't support its strength, it can't be rated higher. And usually, also, I kind of forgot to include it here too. This will kind of encompass other shows that don't really finish off very strongly, or they finish off so badly that it lowers the overall experience for it in general. And so I wanted to make that clarifying point because of the show that I picked for this. And yes, I already know what you're going to say. Just read the manga. Yeah, I get it. Sorry. I watched it. I thought the fights were cool at least. But yeah, Route A. Oh Lord. Like I'm experiencing a lot of my first disappointments as I go through this list, but man, that ending is something that it's like unforgivable at this point. I won't spoil it, but I mean, if you're a fan of Tokyo Ghoul, more power to you. It was a standout in terms of like the averages that we normally get like on a season to season basis, because it had, it still had the really cool powers, the really cool world, some pretty, I mean, to be quite honest, pretty interesting characters. A lot of the downfall of Kaneki was pretty cool. Jason, we get a lot more in depth into like the suffering and all this other craziness, and they really just kind of just forget all that and give us some BS that I was like, Lord, please. please. What did I do to deserve this? Like, I just wanted some good anime, and yet you curse me with this. But yeah, and it's, it's another example of it just not, adapting. Like, come on, man, just give us something. Like, why'd you have to do it? This could have been such a way bigger show, but I mean, I don't know. Maybe the fan base was enough. They bought enough merch. They were just like, fuck it. We're going to save money on the writers. Just animate this last scene for 5 minutes. You're good. All right, time to go home. Someone didn't want to work late. But yeah, Tokyo Ghoul Route A would definitely be a 6 when it comes to that whole criteria. Ooh, we're moving at a pretty fucking good pace. I'm so glad that I didn't say everything in like 10 minutes. Okay, cool. All right. Now comes the scariest number, 7, because 7, 8, 9. So 7 starts out really strong, but it fails to continue doing all what it does right and even commits wrongs that take away from the show. So that is kind of a harsh, I guess, rating to give it. But I think this is like the point where it starts to really differentiate from the things that, at least in my mind, were like really like they're, enjoyable, like an enjoyable watch that, you really liked, you know what I mean? That really spoke to you. And, an 8, which is something that's like won't really be forgotten. Like most 7s aren't really remembered or like they don't really permeate in my mind that much, but 8s, 9s, and 10s really stick out a lot stronger. So let me go ahead and reveal what the 7 example is, which I think most people will agree. Guilty Crown. I feel like this show just encompasses the rating of a 7 so well, because the music, absolutely stellar. The animation, absolutely stellar. The characters, the story, the writing, like, oh my god, the whole second half just might as well not existed, and it would have been like so much better. But oh my god, but man, just the animation and music alone, it's so stand out from so many other shows that even we get now on a seasonal to seasonal basis, as well as having a pretty damn strong start out, but then just completely falls off towards the end, and it just really hits all those points that I would consider it to be, a 7. You know what I mean? Like it's there, and I know 7s for other people can, be, a lot more esteemed, in their opinion, considering it's pretty fucking close to 10, and it's a nice amount away from 5. But, I feel like the way I've described things, it shows a good progression of how you get to that point. Because I definitely like, so Mai in the chat says, I gave Guilty Crown a 5, and I could see the 5, but I mean, like I've said, when it comes to like what it does, just the animation and music just stand out so damn much that I could not justify a 5, and the enjoyability was beyond a 6. So I felt like it sat really well at maybe a light to, a strong 7, somewhere around there. So, and I do rate with 0.5s because yes, I'm that much of a what would you call me, an uncommitting whore or something like that? I don't know, but anyways, let's go ahead and go on to an 8. Let me go ahead and put the right there. And Mai again says, I rank with 0.5s too. It's okay. Thank you. I appreciate that. Okay. Someone out there understands me. All right. Let me go ahead and do an 8. So I did. Okay, so let me read it first. So an 8, in my opinion, started slow or had a little bit of a drop off. Excellent series that really made you enjoy the ride, but just falls short of being something truly special. So the slow start or the little bit of a drop off, I don't think those have to happen in a show that I would rate an 8. But there are definitely some things that just weren't really there, that didn't really put it into the upper echelon of anime, right? It kind of just sits right below it, and you see all the, like, a lot of the times when it comes to anything that's rated earlier on this list or any of the earlier numbers, it's a lot harder to see like where the quality would stand out or what the fixes are in the show to make it something that's beyond where it currently sits. However, with 8s, you can very well see like where it needed to really improve on for it to be at a higher level, I guess, I would say. So when it comes to 8s, I definitely say that Beck
is an 8 in terms of anime. It captured, like, the show has so much soul. The songs, although limited, very memorable. They always stuck on my head. They elicited an emotional response every time I heard them. The characters, I loved all the characters. I loved the story. I loved how everything progressed. I liked how everything was introduced. The light comedy, the drama, just the whole ambiance of the show in general. It did a lot of the things really well. Some things that didn't really do well, was some of the voice acting was really weird, especially for the when they did like the English scenes, the guitar playing, that CG, just so fucking jarring to see. The fact that there aren't more songs, like I really wanted more songs from them. They basically just did a flash forward for the entirety of the ending. Like, we didn't really get to see them in America. We just saw other things. I just realized I was about to spoil it. But overall, it was some pretty good stuff. Like, I really liked it. Maybe a little bit of bias is there because I'm a huge music anime dude, and coupled with my current hype for Carol and Tuesday, I mean, I just love music. This music anime hype is just swelling up inside me over the course of these past few weeks. But yeah, I would recommend Beck to literally anybody, because most people are able to see through, or like not see through, but like accept the flaws because of the quality that it exudes, overall, especially coming from like this show just has so much soul, and I appreciate it for that. So awesome. Anyways, let's go ahead and move on. To the next rating. Now we're getting into the parts where are highly contentious. 9s and 10s. So hopefully there's no typos here. 9. Near masterpiece, strong series from start to finish. May have been just a couple things in there that had that held it back. Not supposed to be an if. That held it back from reaching top status. And now this is kind of where I would say the lines blur really, really big, or really, they blur really well, or they blur a lot, I guess is the word I'm trying to find. But because between an 9 and a 10, it can really go either way. And I have had some shows where they'll be at a 10 and I lower it to a 9, or it's at a 9 and I raise it to a 10. It can really go back and forth between that, because I feel like you're really getting into a lot of the emotional part of your brain when it comes to rating things so high, because they really have to capture a special spot in your head to have it at a high esteem, I guess. And so let me just go ahead and give you my 9 rated anime. Lord, my voice. Death Parade. Man, I think Death Parade is definitely an underrated anime. So this may be a little bit of a weird pick for some of you guys, but I totally think this show deserves its 9 rating. This is an example of something I rated a 7 that I upped it to a 9, because the show definitely required some past reflection to really understand a lot of what it was trying to say to you. So it just kills all of its themes and all like the messages that it's trying to convey to the viewer really well. It does it in an emotional way. The weakest part was probably the girl's story. I forget her name, the main girl, but even then it still held up really, really, really well in the overall context of the story. But yeah, it just kind of slips just a little bit from reaching that absolutely legendary status. But I mean, and also, who can forget that opening is so amazing. I'm hearing it play in my head right now as I speak, and it just does things so damn well. So if you haven't seen this, I mean, this is gonna be the first thing from here. I mean, I'd highly fucking recommend Death Parade. But yeah, and like General Franchi says, the lack of a season 2 really hurts its rating, because this is something I would want a season 2 for, just of how everything is executed, and the premise really supports that being a possibility as well. So now we'll get into my 10s. How do I rate my 10 anime? How do I do so? What force of will do I exude to be able to make such declarations? Well, let me tell you, okay? Let me describe to you how I reach the conclusion of a 10. So, a 10. It kills it in every aspect. Strong story, characters, world. It even executes on a technical aspect so well that you don't even notice the it's supposed to be few mistakes it may do. And I feel like I've been on like a whole innovation kick this past year. Shows that really innovate in its space and does something pretty unique and different, or it does something so well that it holds up through the test of time, I guess I would describe. Like it really needs to be strong enough to be a standout, and be above and beyond. So the show that I picked as the example for my 10, which if you guys know anything about me, you can probably guess what it is. And normally shows that I rate a 10, I can pretty easily defend the rating pretty damn well, I would say. So if you don't agree with me rating this show a 10, then I'm more than happy to have a conversation about it. But the show that I rated a 10 was Bakano. And it's funny that I would, put this show up there because I can see the unappeal when it comes to certain aspects of the story, but I feel like that unappealing, that feeling that you get when the show kind of puts you off is more so on just strictly like a taste rather than like something inherently wrong with the show, because nonlinear storytelling is pretty hard to do, and it's not really executed flawlessly, in many forms of media because of how many things that need to line up to really, drive home a lot of the points of what you're trying to say. And because they selected this very specific story and then they kind of intertwined all these different stories within it, it developed super fucking well. This is one of the best character progressions I've definitely seen in anime as a whole. It shows how well, when it like, you don't need a lot of time to really develop characters if the time that you're given is used in a really quality way. It's akin to like when you practice something, it's not how much you practice it, but the quality of the practice that you're getting, because you could do something for like a really long time and never get good at it. Whereas if you're constantly improving and there's a plan, like you can definitely have progression. And that's what Bakano does. It has progression for its characters, for its story, and it does all of it really, really well because every part of it is quality and it doesn't falter really at any point. Even the last two bonus episodes that were fantastic, and they just added even more to the story as a whole. So I'm hoping one day we get a Netflix 4K release for this, because I'm going to watch it once again. I'm going to do another rewatch with it in the English dub, because I've heard the English dub is fantastic in 1080p. Even watching this at 480, I could already tell the quality that we were getting in the show. So I was like, God dang, hands down, this show is mother flipping 10 out of 10 in my mind. So, but some other 10s that I've put out there that may not be totally agreed upon. Violet Evergarden. I absolutely adored it as one of the first anime to make me cry within like literal years. So fucking go fucking watch it. Go fucking watch this shit, man. But yeah, it's so good. So good. And then another 10 in my mind is Grand Blue, and this is definitely a good transition into when it comes to personal taste. So Grand Blue, like, I can make a case for it as to why it deserves to be a 10 out of 10, but it's kind of like stretching it to a certain degree because I get pretty emotionally invested towards it. But god dang, I will say, if you've been in college and you've experienced the college life, you know what I mean, like, you know, some of the typical bro stuff, this anime just hits you on a whole nother level. Like, it connects so damn well. It knows its fucking audience and it fucking speaks to them. Like, oh my fucking god, and the comedy just hits so well. Like, it is a show that you can obviously tell had a lot of thought and put into it, and I'm like, oh, so good. So if you love comedy, this is definitely recommended for like an older audience, but if you love comedy and you've been through some type of college experience, definitely watch this. There wasn't a single episode that I was not literally dying laughing. Like, this is the funniest fucking thing I've seen probably in my life. It's just so good. But yeah, so that's gonna pretty much wrap it up for my critical rating system that I have. So I say critical as in, like, it's my most, you know, if I'm an anime critique, I rate things really well, and I'm very pretentious about it, you know. Like, if that was my mindset, that would be my only rating system, whatever. But so that was just the critical side. Now I'm going to give you guys the more emotional side, I guess. And while I'm putting up my emotional, I guess I use the term subjective rating. Roy the boss says, so how do you rate your zeros? That is a great question. I don't, because things that I drop, I do not rate unless I really hated it or it gave me such a raging passion that I deemed it needing to be shit on. Okay. So, personal rating. This looks fucking terrible. Wait, give me 1 second here. So, I'm going to just scrub through my personal rating stuff because, one, my voice is literally reaching its limit in terms of continuous talking, because I'm pretty sure that I have not stopped talking for the past 47 minutes. And if you've ever talked straight for 47 minutes, it can get pretty damn tiring. So I'm going to power through these really quick. So these are my passion ratings, right? These are the ratings that justify when I have no justification. Okay. So 1 through 5, not a mech, has no best girl, and isn't shonen. So fuck you. Okay. 6 and 7, I kind of remember it, but it was cool. Can be hype. But they only do that right, and it wasn't. It was a mech or a shonen, and it had a best girl. Okay, 8 through 10 could be a mech or shonen, possibly had a best girl. It gave me hype, and I recommend it all the time. So, oh yeah, I should drink some water real quick. But I'm gonna be completely honest. I rarely ever rate 1 through 7 in terms of like what's it called, in terms of my hype rating, I guess. I like that term, hype rating. This is my hype rating, how I hype rate stuff. I really only rate 8 through 10. And so like an example of this would be Dragon Ball Z. Dragon Ball Z is a 10 out of 10 in my mind. Fuck you if you have any opinion otherwise, because I will defend that anime till I die, because I think it's absolutely fantastic, groundbreaking, and innovative in every single way possible. I can't really give you a 6 or 7, I guess. A 7 would be like his naiver, I guess, but that it's pure emotion at that point. And then 1 through 5 is just vitriol and hatred that I have towards a show that, well, not only wasn't bad, but didn't meet any of my, a hype criteria, which thank you, Afmaro. Kids Naiver is amazing. I want to rate it a 10 so fucking bad, but I just can't justify a 10. So I give it a solid fucking 7. But that is the 1/7 I'll hype up like it's a 10. Yeah, I guess the best way to describe it. But overall, yeah, this is kind of like my little peek into my head, I guess, of how I rate things. Granted, like I said before, in the beginning of the show, these two separate rating systems are starting to combine together as time goes on, because I'm able to, at least in my mind, look where a lot of my emotion is stemming from, and then I'm able to develop like a logical response for as to why I'm feeling that way about the show. So then, it can then, go into like the critical aspect of it, looking at whether or not it hit that for me, or how well it hit it, or how well it did or didn't do it. And then, that also reasoning for why I lower ratings or raise ratings sometimes is because my, understanding and my knowledge of anime expands, and I experience more, and there's more that I see, and it's like, oh, there is something better than what I saw, and this did not do it, and it didn't surpass it in terms of quality. So therefore I lower that rating and I raise this one a bit higher. So there have been a couple instances of that, but again, this is just how my mind works, how I view things, and how I look into different aspects of rating anime in general. And like I said before, you don't have to fucking rate anime. You rate anime however the fuck you want. You want to use the ABC system, 4 or 5 stars, 2 thumbs up, 3 headphones down, like West Side Blood, like Crip, you know what I mean? Whatever the fuck you want to do, like, you just throw that shit up. You be confident in what you say, and yeah, just be prepared to well, if you throw that shit out in people's faces, then prepare to defend it. But yeah, just have fun with it. I really do. Rating anime is, kind of a really fun part of the culture of anime. It's also a really poisonous part too, or toxic part, if it devolves to a certain point. But I feel like there's like so much interesting conversation that can be had when you're comparing ratings with someone, because you really get to see into their mind and how it works in regards to like different shows that you may have loved but someone else may have hated, and they may give you a new perspective on it like you really haven't seen before. But with all that being said, I made it 52 minutes of just straight talking about my rating system. Oh my god, I'm giving myself a round of applause because I killed that shit. Oh my god. Anyways, I hope to God Kuro and Etyo can make it next week, because I'm out of topics. My mind is mentally drained. If you guys have any questions on anything that you guys have heard today, feel free to hit me up on Kitsu and Discord, fucking Twitter DMs, like Instagram. I don't fucking care. Hit me up anywhere, and I'll respond and defend my positions. I think pretty well. I like to have those conversations. So, anyways, I appreciate the fuck out of everybody that came out tonight, because it's just me. It's just me doing my thing, trying to entertain you guys, bring you guys some quality content at least once a week. But because this past weekend was terrible, didn't get to do the Sunday stream, but hopefully we'll get the Sunday stream back up and get it going again, because I love having these anime talks with y'all. So I'm gonna go ahead and stop the podcast right here. We're gonna do a mini after show, then I'm getting the fuck out of here because my throat hurts. So I love y'all. See you guys next week. Be sure to subscribe, rate, comment, like, do all that stuff, promote, share. You guys are fucking amazing. Be sure to give support wherever you can. And yeah, we'll see you guys next week. Bye.